undergraduate major was photography, so I paid more attention to randomism in my creation before learning GDCP course. Because most of the time in studying photography, I need to go out on the street to capture some wonderful moments. This requires me to constantly observe my surroundings and take pictures at extremely fast speed. At the same time, I spend the rest of my time in the studio, learning how to use the camera equipment to enrich the layering sense of the picture I shot. And I will also learn to make some handmade images, such as cyanotype. During this period of study, I have accumulated some knowledge and perception of aesthetics, and found the direction I'm interested in. This helped me a lot in the GDCP course. After taking GDCP course, I found that there is a big difference between illustration and photography. Illustration, for example, for me, is more like a drama that needs to be designed in advance. But I'm the only director who designed everything. While photography is full of randomness, although I can design the style of shooting by myself, it needs the cooperation of other factors, such as weather, environment, the subject, and so on. In a word, illustration for me is like expressing my own feelings, while photography is more like relying other people's stories through me. However, there are many similarities between illustration and photography. For example, they both need the story in the picture and the interest that can immediately catch the eyes of the audience. Besides, story and humor are also the most difficult parts of creation. As far as I'm concerned, I prefer to draw the most interesting and exciting content in the project, which will make my creation more wonderful. Under the influence of this point, I would first change my position into an audience to appreciate the paintings before I draw. The most attractive point in the whole content, the high probability is the most interesting content that needs to be emphasized in the whole picture. But whether or not to use this idea depends largely on the content of the project. When I want to depict a content based on my personal feelings, I cannot blindly pursue the eyes of the audience. If it contains only what the audience wants to see, it probably is a mediocre and boring work. In the course of GDCP, I learned a lot of different ways of thinking. For example, in the project target audience, I learned how to use mind map to spell out my idea for the first time. This is a great way to get inspiration in the words that come to my mind. And in other projects, the mind map also gave me a lot of hints, which enabled me to better organize creative ideas and plan the next step. At the same time, when I was doing the project, I chose the people I was interested in as the research objects for the first time and conducted a lot of research on them. In the process of research, I also began to learn how to collect useful information to make myself more professional. When I took the zoo under the epidemic situation as the object of investigation, I went to the Shenzhen Wild Animal Park to do the first research, which made me learn a lot. Because of this experience, I have a direct understanding of the research objects. And in my work with stroke patients, I interact with them to learn about their causes, symptoms, needs, and more. Based on the research, I got to know the background story of the target group. which made me decide to make a guidebook for stroke patients by combining the characteristics of my own profession. And in this process, the teachers gave me a lot of advice according to my situation, because most stroke people's hand muscles atrophied as a result of the disease. Something that would be easy for normal people can be a challenge for them. After reading my initial thoughts, my teacher suggests that I could consider including more information in the manual on how to make cooking easier for stroke patients. Secondly, some projects of GDCP also trained my observation of the surrounding environment. And through these projects, I thought about how I should express my picture. Then I tried some different painting materials for comparison to get the most satisfying feelings. In addition, I also challenged myself to draw something that I had never done before, such as drawing comic GIF for Alter Ego and animation for Capstone. Those are precious experiences for me. During this period, I also gained a lot of feedbacks from teachers and classmates. There were some ideas that I never saw before, such as the combination of reality and fantasy. This idea inspired me a lot, and I will consider to use this suggestion in my next creation. It's very important for me to enhance my professional ability in the future. So, I hope my future self can flexibly use vivid pictures to tell interesting stories. At the same time, I also hope that my career in the future will still be related to my major, such as being a freelance professional illustrator. Illustration is a field that encompasses a lot of things. Cover design, pop-up books, sculpture, and more can be defined as illustration. But one of the things that attracted me the most was the character design, because it's very difficult for me to broadly create a character that is completely different from my own personality. So, when I create a character successfully, it will give me a great sense of achievement. As a result, it seems that the career of designing characters in animation and game companies is what I want to be engaged in the future.